welcome to Bible Quiz Scorekeeping Session 2024. Scorekeeping is one of the main parts of the quiz because we're in charge of keeping the score. So if you open your folder, we have a scorekeeper quiz checklist that we will follow. One of the things that we will do as scorekeepers is you will check the registration forms for each team. Do you have a checklist? For each team. Make sure you have the registration forms. You're learning from the coaching aspect of scorekeeping?
Yes.
Okay. You want to have your grids for each team. The team placement on the grid. These are just official things that you're going to look for as a scorekeeper as you are at the table before the quiz gets started. You're going to have your score sheets, the schedule for the competition, a point segment sheet. The point segment sheet is in this. We always use the official point segment sheet that comes with our Bible quiz material, because that is the official point segment sheet. That's on page 13 of your handout. This is the point segment sheet that you will use. We don't round up and all that stuff. We just use whatever is on this point segment sheet. It's good to have a copy of the rule manual, and we do have a scorekeeper's rule manual that if you don't have a copy, you should have a copy of that. Legal size computer paper, that's for the computer scorekeeper. If you're doing the computer scorekeeper's portion, you will need the legal size paper because the 8x11 won't work to keep all your score. One calculator per scorekeeper is very important because each scorekeeper has to tally their own individual score. When you're dealing with a competition, if you find that you're falling behind or your scores don't match, say point of order. Very important. Don't just write what the other person has. Find out what happened. If you need to ask the quiz master about points, what points were given out that quiz, do not be afraid to stop and say, what did you say? What did they get? So that you can keep a running, balanced record of the score. That is one of the most important things dealing with when you're dealing with the score, because you're determining the team's advancement or whether they are put out, and that's very important. Pencils, you want all your pencils to be sharpened. You want to have a stapler, extra ink, all that stuff. Have your score sheets. Once you get your grid, you all know what a team grid looks like. You know?
No, I do.
You do? Okay. Oh. You. So let's turn to page 19 of your handout. And it gives you a official look at what I'm talking about. So when you get your team, when your teams pull and they get their placements, you will know from that grid which team is going to compete first, second, and third. So it is a good rule to take your score sheets, get your team registration form. Your score sheet, how you write their names, is going to line up with the registration form that the church turned in. So you're going to write, even if the person is not there, if they're on the registration form, we still write their name.
Right.
And just draw lines all the way across so that you're not giving them points. But it's a rule to just keep the score sheet looking exactly like the registration form. That way you don't get off, someone don't get missing. And when you're doing the score, pay attention to who goes in and who comes out. What we usually do is when you look at them and they have on their letters, if you can't see them, say something. Don't guess, just say something. Because you want to make sure who's in. If you have A, B, and C, and D is in, but C is not, then you draw a little line across that score sheet for C. Jocelyn, can you get some score sheets? Please.
The score sheet checklist.
Yes, these I think are supposed to be for us, but
Okay,
I just
that's
wanted
all
to
right.
share.
Okay.
So that I can just give everything.
Well, I don't want to rip them off.
Oh, my bad. She don't because she does questions. So you get familiar with your score sheet. You'll have your division. That's division 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Your date, competition number. A competition number is this. And then the team name. Is good to write the team's name on your score sheet. And then your quizzer's name. All this is going to come from your registration form. If someone come up and tell you our team name is da-da-da, if it doesn't match with the registration form, you write what's on the registration form. Because this is the official document that's going to be kept on record to validate the score.
Right.
And when it's, if it's not written, it didn't happen. That type of thing. So it's very important. So your role as a scorekeeper is very important. Okay, on the second page of the checklist, during the quiz, are the teams seated correctly? That's going to be according to what letters they pull. Red is A, B is going to be C. How they pulled according to the grid, and I don't have a grid, but you know what the grid look like. Page 2. So from your grid, you're gonna know which team goes where. Do the quizzer have on the correct letter? Are they wearing the letter according to the registration form? It's all going back to that registration form. Because if C's not there and someone is wearing C, they're not C. Because according to the registration form, C is Joe and John is wearing the letter C, but that's not his letter. So he has to wear the letter that was on the registration form. Let's say you have a young person that came and they're not on the registration form, but they want to replace someone that could not show up. We cannot do that. Only the people that were registered can sit at the table, and they have to wear the letter according to the registration form. And I said make sure their letter is visible. So we usually go with the upper collar. If they have on a collar, you can put it up here. That way you can see it. Because when sometimes they sit like this, they don't have to sit up, but you still need to be able to see the letter. Even when you know them, you still need to be able to see the letter. And the score, does it reflect does the score sheet reflect those not at the table? Put an I if more than 3 quizzes. Okay, so they say put an I. I just draw a line.
Slash.
Okay, a slash, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, name of each quizzer. Make sure you know their name. You may not know them. If you're working in nationals, you're not going to know all the quizzers. So you're going to depend on that registration form. This here, make sure the scorekeeper scores match. Very important. Very important. Because sometimes the computer even gets wrong. So you cannot depend on the computer. The most important scoring of the quiz is the manual scorekeepers. The manuals. And you want to make sure before you move to the next question, if you look and she has 20 and you have 22.5, point of order, because you have to figure out what happened
Yes.
before you get all the way at the end and you're out of balance, because it really uses a lot of time, wasting time, because you have to make sure you're matching with the scores as you go along during the quiz session. Have the correct team been awarded points? Another important part. If red team answered, but you gave the points to yellow, pay attention with that, because you can't depend on their voices. So a rule that I practice is when they buzz, look up, see what color is highlighted before the buzzer operator clears it. That way you know who is answering and who letter was called, because sometimes the wrong person may begin to talk. Then you point of order, because that quizzer wasn't identified as the quizzer that is speaking. All that. Very important things. And it says that right there are the score sheets, notes with red 1, red, yellow. You can write on your score sheet by their name what buzzer they're at, what number they're at, but when they change, keep up with the changes. Keep up with the changes. That will help you too as you're officiating the score. All scorekeepers on the same question. Very important. Very important. If I'm on 15 and Jocelyn's on 16, that's a problem. There is a problem there, because one of us either missed the question or have moved ahead to a question number that was not said. And sometimes, typos happen. If your quizmaster is saying question number 14, and question number 14 was a previous question, if the conferring judges don't get it and you're looking at your score sheet and you know they've already done that, point of order. Point of order. Because typos happen. When you're dealing with human beings, expect mistakes. So these are all things that you can help make the quiz session go along and be a smooth process. Fouls and errors, another big one. And team corrections. 4 fouls are allowed. 4 errors are allowed. Not, 4 of each. Not 2 fouls and 2 errors and then they're out. They can have 4 fouls or 4 errors. So if they get 4 fouls, point of order, that quizzer has to be removed from the quizzing session and sit out. They cannot stay at the table. 4 errors. And you have to do it before the question ends. Because if you don't, that quizzer can sit and be allowed to answer when that question comes back to that table. So you want to make sure you point of order right when they have point of order. Quizzer number 3 has 4 fouls. So they have to get up in the middle of the question. 10 complete responses. Very important. Very important. When you are keeping a record of your score, you also want to keep a mental note with your scorekeeper. How many do you have correct? You'll see us, how many you got? That's because if you have a quizzer that has 9, you need to be listening out. The moment the quiz master says, correct, point of order, quizzer number such and such has 10 correct. They have to be taken up from the quiz session. Those are some of the things with scorekeeping.
Just to clarify, the one making the point of order is normally the first manual scorekeeper, correct?
No, it doesn't have to be. There is no designated scorekeeper for making the point of order.
So
If you got two manuals and a computer, either one of them can say it.
Okay.
Either one of them can say it. There's no at that scorekeeper. We're a whole unit, and if I don't catch it and you catch it, say it.
No, I mean so how do you know? Like,
How do you
so
know
all
who's
of
gonna
you
say
aren't
it?
gonna put
No,
it
all
on,
of us.
like,
No,
the
not
thousand
all of
and
us at the same
yeah.
time.
Or the incorrect. So like, how do you know so that everyone?
We're gonna collaborate that.
Okay.
We're gonna say, you say it, like we do. You say it, like that, so that everybody is not talking. So I get it. You want one designated person to do the point of order. So when you're talking about the scoring, you can say, at that time, oh, I'll say point of order. So that's a good point, because you do not want everybody talking at the same time. So when a quizzer has 10 correct, if you look at the very end of your score sheet, there's a little box. There's an overtime box after question number 20. That happens when you have a tie at question number 20, then they get 3 additional questions. And we've had it before where we had 2 overtimes.
We had this quiz season.
Yeah, we had
And we were like,
2 overtime sessions where you have to just add those extra points and just create another, flip it over, add, because it don't happen. It has happened before, but
Does that happen because of reread or what?
no. Sometimes in the overtime, if they are tied here, and then you get to those 3, and let's say your red team get 1, then yellow team get 1, they tied again. Then red team buzz in and they get half. Then yellow team buzz in and get the other half, they tie again. That's how it usually happens. Like, they don't get all of it and they get tied. But your person with the 10 correct, once they get the 10 correct, you're gonna go to their name, and at that last box it says 10 correct. You're gonna put the number 10 and be sure to add it in your running score. Because if you have a team that you think at question number 20 has 10 correct, a tie, and you haven't added those extra 10, they really don't have a tie. So that's why you added whatever, say they got 10 correct on question number 14. So you will put the 20 points plus the 10 points in the team score. But in the individual score, you'll just add that 10 points. So that you, at the end, so that you can balance. Your score sheets should always balance. Always, always, always compare. I don't care how long you've been doing it. Always compare with your other scorekeeper. Because usually in a quiz, rather than have one computer and one manual, we'll have 2 manuals. Because the manual scorekeeping part is the most important when dealing with the official score.
Okay.
So,
question. You say you should compare and you should be together, but what if you're not? Do you compare?
Point of order. You point of order, and you, with your, say it's me and Jocelyn, we'll get together, we'll be like, okay, this is how we usually do. If we're not balanced, we go all the way back to question number 1, and we'll be like, okay, because you need to see where you got off.
Yeah.
Let's say on question number 11, I gave it to the red team, but it was the yellow team points. And she gave it to the yellow team. So now you're gonna quiz master.
Yeah.
Who got question number 11?
Okay, that would be what I want.
Yes. You're gonna depend on the quiz master to validate who got what.
Right.
Because she gave it to
wrong.
both of us could, either one of us could have been wrong.
Yes.
So rather than guessing,
Get it correct.
quiz master, and they're really, the quiz master is not gonna be, they should not be upset because you asked, because they, like Reverend Jones said, they don't deal with the numbers. They're not paying attention. They're focusing on the questions. Am I reading it right? Am I reading what's written? And if the quiz master isn't sure, she got her conferring judges who they all write red, whatever, yellow, whatever. So we depend on that when we're off balance. And we have had to do it.
At nationals.
At nationals is especially at nationals, because there's so many people that here we know our youth. I still don't know the twins apart. So I'm like, who are you? You know, I don't. But don't be afraid to say point of order, just so you can get balance, because we do it all the time. All the time. It's so important. Any more questions? You have any questions, Marty? Okay. So that was the next point. Cross check. Every question, cross check. Don't just be like, oh well, we good. No. This is what we'll usually do. We sit by each other. We may not communicate with, okay. Cross check, because you can get it wrong. We all human. You can be hearing, and they can say red 2 and you give it to red 3. I have done that so many times. By the end of the day, after lunch, I have done that so many times, and I'll be like, Jocelyn, you got it. And she'll be like, yeah, that was good. And so I'll be like, okay. And if we're both questioning it, point of order, who got question number such and such to the quiz master? Because you're working as a team. The whole quiz department is one team with one goal in mind. We want to be fair. We want to make sure the right quizzer got the right points. And at the end of the quiz, we want to make sure that each child got credited for what they did. Just like we all want to get paid for our work, we want to make sure they got the right points. And then the next point deals with if it's tied. The quiz master depends on you to give the official score. What you'll notice during the quiz session is after Reverend Jones read that last question number 20 and she give the points, she'll look over. She's waiting for that. Or that. A nod yes means yes, we're tied. We have to keep going. A nod no means no, you can close the quiz. Because she will not close the quiz without the official score saying, no, there is no tie. There are no discrepancies. This quiz can finally be finished. That's what that's all about. And it is very important. That's why the scorekeeping is one of the major parts of the quiz session.
Now, when they went into double overtime, where did the questions come from?
The quiz masters have extra questions for overtime. That's their responsibility. All the questions, we don't deal with the questions.
Okay.
She has extra questions and she has replacement questions.
Mm-hmm.
So what she'll do is correlate with the conferring judges, and they'll do that part. All we do is keep the score. We just keep the running score. So our job at the table, make sure the score is right, make sure the right quizzer is responding, getting the right points, make sure when they switch out people, we know who came in, who went out. Keep official running record of the score. That is our primary goal as a scorekeeper.
And where did you put the double overtime on your score
In
sheet?
the very end.
You went to the next page?
Oh, okay.
We just went to the back. When you do a double overtime, you're gonna just flip it over, and you're gonna just write and do your little, because it's gonna be 3 more points, 3 more questions, 3 more questions. Hopefully, don't be like have we ever had a triple overtime?
Not that.
Not that I've been witness to. The double, yes, but not the triple. So, do you have any more questions? Because practice. This is one of those on-the-job training type things, and that the most important part of scorekeeping is making sure your official score is right. Jocelyn, do you have anything to add?
No, just don't depend on your computer scorekeeper because their
Jocelyn, you
scores-
should get the mic.
I'm okay. It's all you.
Talk in the mic so they can hear you.
Just don't depend on your computer scorekeeper because it's easier to mess up the computer scorekeeping than it is manual. So oftentimes and Reverend Baker in Jeffersonville, he'll tell you he does all the stats and whatnot, but he's like, do not depend on me because I'm going so fast. Sometimes my fingers slip or whatever. So that's why if you don't have 3 scorekeepers, you're always gonna have 2 manual because the computer scorekeeper can get messed up. So don't depend on that. And then, it just slipped my mind what I was gonna say. Must not have been that important. It'll come back. So it must not have been that important. Oh no.
Do y'all have any questions?
It was clear. Thank you.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. When you're doing local practice, and maybe both of your scorekeepers aren't there, then really make sure one of your coaches is scorekeeping also. Because the other night I was scorekeeping by myself, and we went into overtime, and my brother happened to be coaching, so he was also keeping score. And at the end, I gave over the scores, and he was like, wait, Jocelyn, I think you're wrong. And I got a little prideful. And I was like, no, I've been doing this a long time. My numbers are always right. And he was like, no, I think it's wrong. So we looked, and sure enough, I had given 30 points during overtime instead of 20 points. And he was like, he held that over my head a little bit, but it was okay. So it's no matter how long you've been scorekeeping, because Sister Middlebush trained me, but it's always good to have somebody to double check. Even if you're like, oh, it's just a local quiz, it doesn't matter. It actually does because your quizzers are ranked every week, and the highest ranking quizzer is supposed to be your team captain when you go to competitions.
Right.
So it is still super important in your local quizzes. So don't be like Jocelyn and be prideful. Let your brother tell you you're wrong.
I don't think that was it. It's human error.
Yes.
No matter how long you're gonna do it, you're going to make a mistake sometimes.
See, this is why you need to know how to do it, because I've always been the only manual scorekeeper.
Well, don't feel bad. I was too, and then I trained Jocelyn, and she's great. She does a great job.
Except for when we go into overtime, okay?
Even when we're going to overtime,
I
she
mean,
just makes a
those-
mistake every now and
Those
then.
when they change the points, that's when you get the most errors.
Yeah. When you're going from 8
yes,
to
when
9
you're going
and,
to-
and
yes, when
17
you-
to 8,
But
yeah.
but the more you do it,
Yeah.
you can do it on a blank sheet of paper. The more you keep score, because your brain is gonna transition to 1 to 8 is 10, 9 to 17 is 20, 18 to 20 is 30. It's if you hit that overtime, because that's another
They
one,
went back to 20.
and it goes to 20 instead of 10.
And that's where my brain messed up.
Yeah,
I was
and
like, I
then
don't
your
know.
brain is like, wait,
Autopilot.
yeah. You will. The more you practice, the more you will get it. It's a skill, but these are the tools. But practice, just like with everything else in life, the more you practice it, the more you do it at your local. And when you're doing local, don't belittle it. Keep it official. Our local quiz sessions are ran just like our tournaments. No talking, no playing around, no interrupting, there's no slack. It's whenever we come to quiz, it's an official quiz, period. Because if you practice and you train your quizzers with that technique, they will not have to figure out how to be at a tournament. It will come so natural because this is how we practice it. It's just like in life with a job. You practice. Those are the most important things that I can think of. And
The quizmaster may ask you for help with computing their tallies and like their the proportion of the
Portion of the
point
portion.
segment.
Point segments.
So just stay up on your math because
Stay
they
up on
may-
your math,
Yeah.
your fractions.
Yeah, so you got it.
Well, I'm not.
Well, you can depend on her. She's a math teacher.
She's number 10 and I'm like number
I
10.
knew it written, but it was already written.
And also, when you get a question, I'm glad you brought that up, Justin. If they say 17/20, that is not on your point segment sheet. Do you know how to get that?
What,
It does
17?
remind you on your point segment. Isn't it on the bottom of the point segment sheet how to do it? It's somewhere because I literally just saw it the other day. And I was like, oh, that's helpful that that's there.
Okay, point segments. Unsure if this is still applicable.
What page for that?
12.
12.
111 is a fractional amount. That's telling you how to do it on.
Is that on the bottom of the No, it's not. I thought it was. I literally just saw it somewhere.
It's right here. It's on the computer. You saw it on the computer.
Yeah. That's
It's under point segments, page 12.
Tenth decimal.
But it only goes. It doesn't tell you about that.
But it doesn't round up, you said, right?
No, it doesn't round up.
So,
So if you have a question that's 17/20, and you need to figure out how to get that because it's 20 on there,
no, I believe it goes up to 9.
11.
Yeah.
It goes up to 11.
Mhm.
So 17/20, you would take the 20,
The
And-
full point value.
the full point value, divide it by 20, and multiply it by 17. So what you would do, we want to write it, I'll go slow. You would take the question point value, you would divide it
Denominator.
by the denominator, that is so spelled.
I would have spelled it
So question value divided by denominator times the numerator.
And then multiply it, yes, by the numerator.
Sounds easy.
And if you can, oh Lord, help me math teacher. If you can take the point segment value that they gave you and put it in
Fractions.
lowest,
Lowest terms.
yeah, if you can put in the simplest form, thank you, the simplest form that you can find on your segment sheet, that's the easiest because then you don't have to try to round the numbers or anything like that. So like the other day, Sister Danisha said, oh, it's 15/20. And so I just put it in simplest terms, 3/4, found it on my sheet and kept it moving
You
because.
said that you 17 to put a number.
Yeah, and that's why I did it. So, do you have your phone?
Yeah.
Everybody got your phone?
That's not.
I chose that because it's not gonna be. If it works like that, great. But most of the time, so let's do it.
Do it out of a 30-point
Yep,
question
from a
because if
30
it's a
point.
20-point question, that's just 17
That's just
points.
17 points.
Right, okay, so 30 divided by 20 equals 1.5. That's 17, so you're gonna do that with 25 and a half points.
Hold on, Matt.
She did it quick,
Matt, Marty.
Uh,
So we're gonna do 30.
30.
You're gonna do 30 divided by 20 equal, and then times 17. So that would be 25.5 points.
Oh, wait. They're ready?
Say that again.
30
Divided by.
20 times 17. And so you probably would want to write, because if you put, I don't know if you put it in a calculator like that, would it work? Let me see. Because I usually hit that equal. It still comes out. Okay.
And that started out as what? What kind of question?
A 30-point question.
I mean, a 30-point question, but it was.
It was
17
17/20ths of a 30-point question. So our session is over. I hope you were able to gain everything you needed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was
Have a
very
great day.
enlightening.